Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. We're right here in downtown Napa. I'm Reverend Jay Lang, and I'm the spiritual director of the center. We are an open community that embraces all faiths, cultures, and orientations. We think of ourselves as a center for everyday spirituality because we offer transformative methods for joyous and meaningful living. Individually and as a community, we are seeking to be the peace, love, and joy we want to experience in the world. So welcome. I'm so glad you've joined us today. So the thing itself that I began this whole talk with, it is the basics of the science of mind that we talked about, that merely just recognizing that it's everything all around us, not external to us, but within us and within everybody. And then the next week I talked about the way it works, talking about it works through us, and then what it does, which is create through us, and today how it works, how we use it, which is by creating through us, as us, and we allow it. So all of it is about recognizing that which is beyond us, that which is all, and allowing it to create through us. So you can see the basics of the science of mind are really covered in this. Now, when I first heard the phrase by Ernest Holmes that was made famous by his radio show that was on at one time weekly, that says there's a power greater than us and we can use it, I was resistant to that idea. What do you mean we can use spirit? We can use God? Isn't that manipulative? Isn't that for our own purpose? But some of that was based on beliefs I had about spirit at that time. I grew up, like a lot of us, kind of thinking of spirit as like the only other thing greater than us we know at the time, which is our parents. And I know with my own parents, I was one of those kids that ask a lot of questions. How many of you were a kid that asked a lot of questions, right? By the way, those who ask a lot of questions make great members here because we like questions around here. But I was one of those kids that asked a lot of questions, and my parents would become irritated by me. I found out later my father would make up answers. I thought he knew a lot about It was a way to try and keep me quiet. It didn't really work, though. But it is in this asking we know we open up to spirit. And it was my belief at that time that spirit was like my father who became irritated at my questions and that I could wear out my welcome. That he would become, because I thought it was a he then, would become impatient and would just like the boy who cried wolf too much, wouldn't listen to me anymore. So I waited for really important things to bring to God's attention. Well, it's not like that at all. For there is nothing out there to be irritated at us. It is within us. And when we talk about how to use it, it is how we use it through us and we allow it. Hafiz says, who was a mystic poet, he says, we are like the hole in a flute that spirit blows through to create the music. The hole in the flute. So it is ours to be this open channel of spirit to move through us and allow this music to play. And what's beautiful is that as this music is played, we can dance in the celebration of the manifestation of spirit in our lives. It's not like we're passive. We are active creatives in this life. We create through us. Spirit creates this beautiful music that we all can dance in. We can dance together. And if anything, Spirit, rather than being irritated at us, persistent in that, it is actually, it continues to ask us questions. Like a child that has questions that pulls on your shirt. You know how a kid will do that? That is spirit pulling on us, tugging on us to open up. A reminder the Spirit is always there. That's always creative and always allowing through us and being through us in this way. That is the Spirit that I seek to reveal through me as me. Oriah Mountain Dreamer, who's an American poet, spiritual poet you might have read. She's famous for the poem, The Invitation. But I also like another poem of hers called The Call. She called this persistence of the divine within us in these words. I have heard it all my life, a voice calling a name I recognized as my own. Sometimes it comes as a soft belly whispered. Sometimes it holds an edge of urgency, but always it says, wake up, my love. You are walking asleep. There's no safety in that. You are walking asleep, and there's no safety in that. Do you get that metaphor? That we're sleepwalking? Imagine if you're sleepwalking in your own house physically, you're bumping into things, you're not aware, you could even be eating food you don't want to eat unconsciously. That we are living unconsciously, and it's Spirit that's tugging on our shirts for us to wake up, to live fully, to be this hole in the flute that allows Spirit to come through us. And as we experience life as it is, it could be the music that's playing that is our life might not be everything we want it to be. We might want something different. But it's this experience, this human experience we have as spiritual beings that brings us to a greater awareness that there's Spirit within us. We started a class from Whence We Came, which is a roots class that a number of us are in. And we started last week talking about some of the philosophers, the ancient philosophers. And what we talk about here is really ancient wisdom. We call it New Thought, but it's ancient wisdom. Heraclitus, a philosopher that lives 2,500 years ago, had this to say about these contrasts we experience in our life and the value of them. To get everything we want is not a good thing. Disease makes health seem sweet. Hunger leads to the appreciation of being full-fed. And tiredness creates the enjoyment of resting. So a simple wisdom, and yet the truth is there, right? It's the way we experience life. That this contrast is neither good or bad or definitely not evil. But it gives us a moment to recognize this contrasting that is able to open up our heart in greater understanding. That we seek to have a greater life. We seek to have something greater that we want to experience on this planet. There's a fun story of an old dog and a young pup. And the old dog is watching the young pup chase its tail, you know? And the old dog goes, well, what are you doing? And the young puppy goes, I'm chasing the tail. My tail, I know the happiness lies in the tail. I know it. I've experienced it. And this is what I want right now. And I can get it. I know all you old dogs have given up on this thing that you can't be happy, but I'm going to find it. I'm going to get it. The old dog looked at him and sort of shook its head and go, yes, I know that chase. And yet I find that the happiness is in the tail and it's always with us. And if we simply rest, we can experience this happiness. And the puppy goes, yeah, whatever. I'm going to get to this happiness. I'm going to get there. I know. The truth is, neither were wrong. They were both right. The happiness is in the tail. And yet, if we rest in that knowing, it's easier to find. We're going to spend less energy doing it. These days where I want to be, I want to have that enthusiasm, that eagerness, that excitement about life of the young pup and the wisdom of the old dog. So that I am alive fully in this life, and yet I know that it's all within. The Spirit that rests within me is this happiness. And yet, Sometimes I like going chasing my tail anyway, having fun with life and that which it is, that which is greater than me and my experience. It doesn't matter how we experience the divine. It matters that we try, that we open up to the intention of life and create. I often think about the different ways we connect with Spirit with 4 phrases. And I'd like to be clear that none of these are wrong and they all work. But here are the 4 phrases, and you'll see there's a similarity to them. The first phrase is, Spirit, I need help. The next one is, Spirit, I need. And then there is, Spirit, I. And then there is, Spirit. So, Spirit, I need help is a sort of a crisis way when we seek to get that help. Spirit, I need is a lack we feel in our lives. Spirit, I is a point of surrender. And Spirit is simply a recognition of the divine, a resting in the knowingness. So let's start with Spirit, I need help. So this is a point in our life when there is a metaphorical train wreck, a loss that's unexpected, a diagnosis or a health concern that we weren't expecting. Something in our life that has changed dramatically. And it is natural for us to reach out in that moment and say, Spirit, I need help. And it's almost in that moment, no matter how sophisticated we are in our spirituality, it's an exclamation of there's something outside of us that we need help from. That there is something out there that will help us. Even though we know there's no Superman, there's no hero, and yet in that exclamation, in that panic, there is an answer from the universe. It is sometimes emergencies do miraculous things that the universe opens up. From green lights when you're trying to get to an emergency room, to people able to do things they wouldn't normally be able to do, superhuman strength or something, because they're in that moment of they have to do it and they don't think about it, they just do it. We also know that Spirit responds through the people in our lives. And that moment of panic is really a call for help. You might have heard the story about the man that was at his house as the floodwaters begin to rise. And somebody comes by with a truck to give him a ride away from the rising waters. And he goes, no, I prayed, and I know Spirit will provide. As the waters rise, he moves up to the second level of his house, and a boat is able to come by and offer him a ride. But he goes, no, God will provide. I've been praying. The waters continue to rise, and he has to go up to his roof, and now a helicopter comes by to try and rescue him. But he goes, no, God will provide. And the waters continue to rise as he gets up on the top of his roof now, lapping at his legs, and he's pleading once more to God. And suddenly the heavens open up, and Spirit says, I have tried to help you 3 times. A truck, a boat, and a helicopter. I'm not sure what's left. The next thing you better take. So that's Spirit. It works through us. It works through all of us. I know when we experienced the earthquake, there were people that responded to God's request, God's working through them, and they were helping everybody in this community. It was one of my first weeks here, and I was so impressed, so inspired by this community. That's what we do. We allow God to work through us. That's the way how it works through us. We allow it to. The next stage is Spirit, I need. And this is not necessarily a moment of panic, but it is a moment of need when we feel a lack in our life of health, wealth, of loneliness, of some sort of need. We feel a lack in our lives. We may not even know what it is. We just don't feel connected We feel isolated in our lives. We feel there's something missing, but we don't know what that is. And it's that moment that we open up to the divine. It's that moment in my life that I've really got the books out and gone back to the basics and worked the spiritual principles I know. That I know when I affirm things, that things are coming in my life, greater health, greater wealth, greater connection. When I do prayers without even knowing what words I need to say, I'm just opening up and knowing that Spirit is working in my life, and I trust it. And I spend time doing that my life does open up. The spiritual principles do respond. So although I'm saying I need this, I let go of that need and affirm that which I want. But it is that need that called me forth into greater connection with the divine. It's what opened me up to start with. It's what made me more motivated and more intentional in my life. It's that desire I had, that love that I had. And it does work through us when we're able to use these principles and know these principles, divine principles. Ernest Holmes says this: we have within us a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer. A power that can overcome every obstacle in our life and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed, and prosperous. In a new light, in a new life. Mind, all mind is right here. It's Spirit's mind, Spirit's creative power, Spirit's creative life. And it's that we know, that we can open up. And we also know that, as Ernest Holmes went on to say, that it's not by holding these thoughts, especially not thoughts of lack, or even sometimes not positive thoughts. We need to go a step further and embody that which we want to experience. If we experience in our mind and we feel it in our body, then our body has a chemical response to it as if it is real. So that we come upon that in our life, we experience it as so there's no resistance to it. So we experience it as if it is so, we embody it. When I first came to the center, one of the things I talked about was the rain that we needed in Northern California. And I talked about we needed to do more than pray for rain. We needed to pray rain. And in that way, when we prayed rain, we knew that rain in our body. We knew that it was so. And I know, although we don't have a magic wand that we can control the weather, I know we had an influence on the rain that came to Northern California as a community, and I know other communities were knowing this too, because we embodied this rain. Well, now it's January, and we've hardly had a drop of rain. So this is February, new month, right? So let's go back to that intention. Let's go back to embodying the rain, knowing rain within every cell of our being. Let's have an influence. Let's bring back some rains, because we're doing okay, but now it's time we need some more rain. It's starting to dry out a little bit, and let's just bring it back. Let's just know it, because what I know about that is that when we know this rain within every cell of our being, that it's drawing in the alignment of these weather patterns. It is bringing this moisture to this area. And that when we know that, it is so. And we can know this about health in our life. When we embody health, we become healthier. When we embody wealth, we become wealthier. When we embody a sense of connection with people, we become more connected. That's the principle I'm talking about. That's how we use it, how we use Spirit. We let it move through us, and we have to allow it. We have to let these beliefs that we might have within about an external God or about a God we might irritate or pester. And we let all that go, and the way we do it is to experience that which we want fully and completely. And then any beliefs we have that don't align with that come to our awareness. Or they simply are dissolved, let go of, released by grace. Either way, we're moving forward to creating that which we want in that spirit I need mode. And yet it's spirit I claim what we want. So the next area is spirit I. This is the point in our lives when we're aware and we trust the spirit within us. We trust the universe is providing for us, and we simply come to a metaphorical altar and say, Spirit I. It's a point of surrender that we let go of anything that no longer serves us, any beliefs, any thoughts. And it's a point of we don't even need to know what that is. We can lay our burdens down, our worries, anything that keeps us from fully living. And we set these down and we don't pick them back up. We leave them there and allow Spirit. Because this allows a greater sense of spirit to come through us, to be through us. Earlier, I quoted Hafiz, the Sufi poet who talked about the hole in the flute that we are, allowing Spirit's wind to come through us. I read a little bit about his life, something I didn't know this week when I was reading that quote, and that he was a young man who came from an affluent family, but because his father died when he was young, he had to go to work and become a baker's apprentice. And in that position, he delivered breads and different kinds of baked goods to families. And he at one point, he delivered it to a family, and he saw the owners of the house young daughter, and he immediately fell in love with her because she was so beautiful. He was enchanted by her, but she was committed to marry another person. But it didn't stop him. He continued to woo her, to write her poetry and songs. And so inspired were people in the village by his lyrics that some of the men began to repeat them to the one that they loved. But it didn't have any effect on the girl, for she stayed committed to the one who she was going to marry. So he had heard that if he prayed at the graveside of a saint for 40 days, that he would see a difference, that he would see a revelation, a change. So he did that. Every night he would go there and stay up all night and sing and pray to the saint. And after 40 days, he received a mystical experience of this light that came forth, a beauty that came forth. And it spoke like an angel and said, "What is it that you seek?" And in this sense of the beauty, he forgot all about the girl and said, "Can I experience this beauty that I experience right now?" And so it was revealed to him to work with a teacher, which he did for many, many years. And often he would have these mystical experiences of beauty. This is true for us when we set that which we seek on the altar, knowing that all our needs will be provided. It is this mystical experience of the divine that we find. The joy, the love, the peace that is not part of the external world. It is sourced within, and it is always there, always available for us, always present with us. We simply need to open up to that which is within, which brings us to the final connection point, which is just Spirit. It's just opening up to the divine without any kind of need or request. It is just Spirit. Knowing, recognizing, allow it to revealing through us just in the very moment the beauty that it is in all things that we are and how perfect it is right where it is. Holding and embracing us right where we are without having to be anything or do anything to get its favor. We simply need to be. We simply need to allow the truth of who we are, the blessings that we are, and the blessings that come through us. I'd like to read the last of Orion Mountain Dreamer's poem that I read the first part of earlier. It goes like this. Remember what you are and let a deeper knowing color the shape of your humanness. There is nowhere to go. What you are looking for is right here. Open the fist clenched in wanting and see what you already hold in your hand. There is no waiting for something to happen. No point in the future to get to. All you have ever longed for is here in this moment right now. You are wearing yourself out with this searching. Come home and rest. How much longer can you live like this? Your hunger is gaunt, your heart stumbles. All this trying. Give it up. Let yourself be one of the spirit mad, faithful only to the beauty you are. Let the lover pull you to your feet and hold you close, dancing even when fear urges you to sit this one out. Remember, there is one word you are here to say with your whole being. When it finds you, give your life to it. Don't be tight-lipped and stingy. Spend yourself completely on the saying. Be one word in this great love poem we are writing together. Be one word in this great love poem we are writing together. You are this love poem that you're writing, but collectively, we are even writing a greater poem. By being this aspect of the divine, by being this divine in everything we do, and we simply open up and allow Spirit to breathe through us as us in this great love poem we're writing together. Thank you for watching us today. I'd like to offer you an invitation to come visit us in person on Sunday mornings at 9 or 10:30. You can also visit our website or give us a call. We'd be glad to talk to you to give you more information. Until we meet in person, please know that something wonderful is happening through your life right now, and that something is Spirit itself. Blessings and love always.